Hello, everyone. So delighted to be back here with you in this week's Priestess Transmission. My name is Lisa Espinosa, and I am here every week at 2:30 Central to connect with you, to be in community, to create a beautiful sovereign space, a clear space, so that you can hear your own soul's guidance about your divine mission, about your divine role in the healing of humanity. That's what we're about. That's what this is. It's no small thing. And it requires so much courage, so much dedication, so much devotion, so much perseverance. And most of all, it requires so much love. That is really what this is about. So, I've been talking a lot about creating your legacy of love and how we're here to create it. Everyone, not just special people, everyone here. And I talked about last time, if you didn't catch last week's Priestess Transmission, it was awesome. And it was all about our beliefs, right? Those outdated beliefs that block us from really moving forward. And so, what is your legacy? Your legacy is that long lasting impact, right? The things that you do, the love that you share, it all goes back to that. Hello, Diane and Roxana, and anyone else who's here. I would love to see who you are. Just write it in the chat or write it in the comments if you catch the replay. And so, your legacy of love is made up of the unique contributions, right, of your offering. And that's what I was going to say. Our egoic mind, our intellect can really complicate it. Well, what is it? What is it? What is my mission? What is my purpose? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to create? And those questions are actually not useful. If you think about it, the essence of everyone's legacy of love, legacy of service, is love, is how you are showing up in the world and how you are sharing love. Now, I'm a spiritual career coach, so I talk a lot about how you share love in your career, in your creations, and the way you work with your students and your clients. But that's not the only way. It's really a moment by moment choice. And so it's actually very simple. Hello, Summer. So good to see you here. As everything spiritual is, spirituality is simple. It's our ego that complicates it, that makes up all these rules and becomes perfectionistic about it. But actually, your spiritual journey is meant to be simple. It's as simple as clearing the clutter, the internal clutter, and listening to your soul's guidance. That's all it is. And what is your soul? Your soul is that true essence part of you. You don't have to use the word soul, whatever word resonates with you, but it's that the truth of who you are that is eternally connected to spirit, to the divine. And so that's it. We just connect with our soul and follow our soul's guidance. However, it feels complicated because of all the internal clutter, right? All of the things that are bouncing around in our brain. And I've been so touched by all of you who've shared. Last time you shared some of the beliefs that you were holding, and in the comments people have written like some of the beliefs, some of the sentences that are just spinning around in your brain that create powerful obstacles. And so I think that's really useful. It's really courageous to hold a mirror, right? To hold a magnifying glass to your brain and be like, oh my gosh, there's this thought I have. And there's nothing to be ashamed of because we all have those sentences in our brain. And I like saying sentences because that takes the power away from them. It's like, oh, all it is, it's a sentence in my brain. And so if your sentence is, I'm not ready, or I'm not worthy, or I don't have enough time, or whatever it is, that creates your external reality. And so before we started, I pulled a card from, I don't have it right here, from the Divine Feminine Oracle. And I just asked, like, okay, who's with us? What's the message for today's Priestess Transmission? And I got Sarasvati, who's one of my favorites. And it says, the essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. I'm going to read that again. The essence of who I am flows effortlessly into everything I create. How beautiful is that? So, what is that saying? Is that everything you create, and let's just focus on this year, 2023. I know you've already created so many beautiful things in the world, but let's focus on 2023 because, as I've been saying, every year, right, our soul is inviting you to greater power, greater love, greater grace, greater creations, and greater, that word greater can feel very ego, but this is like, what does that mean? It just means that everything you create this year, that every choice you make is infused, like this beautiful card says, with your true essence. That's what that is. And so the up leveling that happens every year, it simply means that we have less resistance and we allow our soul to lead the way more and more and more and more. And that's what's gonna heal the planet, right? That's what's gonna create the solutions, create the structures, create the paradigm shift that our planet needs. It is really an internal job. It really is. And so I wanted to really simplify it today and really, I mean, that's my intention with all my teachings. But the more I talk about this, right, I've been doing this work now for, well, since 2009, however many years that is, 13. And what I mean is, I mean professionally. Obviously, I've been on a spiritual journey my whole life, but professionally, as a professional, like as a spiritual business entrepreneur, as someone who offers this type of mentoring and coaching and services for 13 years, unless I did the math wrong, which I could possibly be doing wrong, but something along those lines. And the more I talk about it, the simpler it gets. And that's a good thing. So I want to offer that to you, right? Because today, as I was connecting with Mother Mary, right, another, one of my just beautiful overlighting mentors of my life, as she is for a lot of people, really for the world. And if you've heard me speak before, you've heard this. And if you're new to me, I want to make it clear when I bring up Mother Mary or Ascended Master Jesus or any of those guides that certain religions are very kind of attached to, please understand that I'm speaking of her, that my relationship with Mother Mary is not dogmatic or religious. In fact, I had to do a lot of work to declutter all of that so that I could really connect with her, so that I could really allow her into my life as the mentor that she is and as the mentor that she wants to be for all of us, right? So when I was connecting with Mother Mary today, she was really like, this is as simple as teaching people to open their heart more, to love more, that they are not going to be hurt by loving more. Like love more, love more, love more. That's what she says over and over and over. And yet all of our trauma and our wounds and our beliefs, right? I'm going to be hurt if I love more. People are going to walk all over me if I love more. I'm going to love more and I'm not going to receive that love back, right? I'm going to love more and then I'm going to get into codependent relationships. I'm going to love more and people are going to abuse me. All the things. And it makes sense because many of us have experienced exactly those things. Or if you've been in, narcissistic relationships with others, right? Where it feels like they've sucked you dry, right? So we can develop these blocks in our heart, these like protections of our hearts for what seem like good reasons, right? And they were good reasons. But now we're in a time in the world and we're in a time in our journey where we're stepping into spiritual maturity. Like if you're watching this video, whether you're watching live or the replay, or if you're attracted to my work in any way, you are one of those people that are at the forefront of this spiritual maturity stage that we're entering. And please be careful, mindful when I say this. I am not in any way saying we are better than others. That's how the ego can interpret that. Oh, we're the spiritual mature people. They're the whatevers. No. What does spiritual maturity means? It means that we are committing to loving ourselves. That's a big deal. That is a courageous thing, to commit to loving yourself and looking at your. So let me rephrase that better. What are you committing when you're spiritually mature, right? What is that path? It means that we're committing to looking within our heart, within our mind, within our energy body, looking within us with love, and committing to healing the spaces and places within us that need healing so that we could love more. That's spiritual maturity. It's an ongoing process. Now, what it isn't is, and this is where I was for a long time, kind of stuck or spinning in, was I could look within. I was always a very reflective person. I was always a very insightful person. Even as a child, I loved reading, and I loved reading self-help books, and I was kind of obsessed with that. And, so I could look within, but the love part was missing. I would look within and judge myself and compare myself and shame myself and add guilt to the whole mix and all of that. And it led to a lot of pain. It was part of my journey. And so that's why I want to be very clear. It means you look within with love, and that's a practice. But what is the practice of doing that? The practice of doing that is looking within through your soul's eyes, because your soul doesn't have to try to love you. Your soul doesn't have to let me love her or him or they. Your soul loves you unconditionally always. So the practice, so when I coach my clients, when I coach myself, what are we coaching on? We're coaching on, wait, I'm looking at this and I'm judging myself and I'm blaming myself and I'm berating myself. But let me tune into my soul. Let me learn how to get out of the way so that I can see myself like my soul sees me. It's an ongoing daily practice. And so that's spiritual maturity, is we're committing to going within, not to blaming the external world. And that doesn't mean we don't set boundaries, right? That doesn't mean that there are people that, yes, there's people who do a lot of things that cause damage. But it's always going back within and looking at ourselves through that loving lens. And from that place, then we can make the decisions and make the choices and take the actions that create our legacy of love in the highest way. And that's why this is such a radical, revolutionary, courageous journey. It takes a lot of courage, a lot of devotion, a lot of love to do this. So I want to read what Diana said. Once we have cut the cord, someone that does not serve us, why does it still come up? Yes, Diana, that's such a great question. So the reason it comes up, and there's a few things. And I want to say, when you ask a question, I don't mean Diane, when anyone asks a question, I will offer my wisdom that comes from experience and my wisdom that comes from being right now in this oracular teaching space. But of course, always the answer is go within and ask your own soul, well, why is this coming back again? Well, why it happens is, what I have found is one of two reasons. Either one, we're still not done with it. We're still not done with the lesson. There's still some layer that's coming up for healing. And maybe it's just a little layer. Maybe it's just like a little thing that still needs to be examined, a place where we're still holding love back, a place where we're still shaming ourselves or judging ourselves or blaming someone, or, so it's very normal in the spiritual journey with that we kind of spiral again, like, oh, here it is again. Okay, clearly there's still a space within me that needs healing with this. The other reason it comes back is that just to teach you that you're done with it, right? That you might be like, oh, something comes up in your life and you're like, oh my gosh, this would have totally freaked me out before. This totally would have flattened me before. This totally would have brought up rage in me before, or would have brought up shame in me before. But it's not doing that anymore. Like, I'm done with it. So sometimes it comes back just for us to know, to bear witness and know, like, oh my gosh, I'm done with that lesson. Wow. I'm celebrating that. I'm honoring that journey that I took. So that's what I have found in my life. And when I coach my clients, that those are the two things. And I think, when we're in this spiritual mature place, one of the aspects of that is divine patience. And I used to hate that word. I still have parts of me that hate the word patience because there's like resistance to it. But when we talk about divine patience, it means like, if something comes back for us to look at, that it isn't a punishment, it isn't that there's something wrong with us. Perhaps, and actually this is coming, Diane, from your great question, there's another reason too that's I'm tuning into right now, is that perhaps that's part of your mastery. Like maybe your soul, and I'm not just speaking to Diane, everyone here, because we've all had that experience, right? That we're like, wait, I did the work already. I did the forgiveness. I cut the cords. I did this. I did all this, and it's coming back. Perhaps your soul designed a curriculum for you to master that specific lesson, because you're going to teach about it, because whether teaching like literally in a class or just teaching by example and by your life. So like in my last blog, I wrote about making decisions, right? When we make decisions, we are powerful. That's how we express our power, when we decide. And that's why so many of us struggle with making decisions. And I shared in that blog how many times in my life I've had to make what felt like really, really hard decisions, right? When I got a divorce just, 20 some years ago, right? That was a decision that felt incredibly challenging, right? And where I had to really, really go inside, really dig deep inside of me to be able to tune into what is my soul guiding me here, because the outside world had a ton of opinions and judgments about what I should do. And I had them too. I had my own thoughts, right? So that's one. When I was a 7th grade teacher, as many of you know, here in the Chicago Public Schools. It was such a sacred job, such an important part of my life. And then, almost 10 years in, I got the guidance that it was time to leave that job that meant so much to me, right? And so maybe not as dramatic as the first one, but it was certainly like, oh my gosh, really digging deep inside, like, again, facing that place where all these people have all these opinions. My own brain's like, no, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. And I had to really dig deep in. So that's an issue that's come back in my life. These like decisions that I have to make where logically it doesn't make sense, but internally I'm being guided to go within. So why is that, Diane? Is I realize now, because that's part of my mastery. I teach people how to do that for themselves. I had to go through that. My soul designed a perfect curriculum for me. These like really kind of dramatic situations. And those are just two examples where I had to like sort through all the clutter, all the emotional wounds, all the trauma, everything, and go inside and be like, this is what I'm going to do. Even though I'm terrified, even though everybody says it's the wrong decision, even though my own brain is like, no, stay safe, do this. So that's another reason, Diane, right? That it's just our mastery. It's just like, oh, this is wow, how noble and courageous of you, Diane, and everyone here listening, for those recurring lessons that come to your life. You're here to master them. You're here as a teacher of them, as an example of them. And so I hope that's helpful. Thank you, Diane, for asking that beautiful question, because the questions are what drive the teaching, right? The questions are so important. So we're going to step into our ceremonial space, right? Into our meditative space. And we're going to go within and just open to what wants to come forward. You know, sometimes before I go in, it's very clear. But in this moment, what the instruction is being is to let's just go within. And I don't mean like that I plan the meditations. I never plan them or script them. But sometimes as we're talking, I know like, oh, okay, we're gonna go within and we're gonna uncover, what belief is blocking us. In this moment, that's not happening. In this moment, the message is let's go within. Let's allow and receive it. I'm gonna trust that. And that's part of my training, right? And I offer that for you as well, for because I know a lot of a lot of my clients are teachers, are spiritual healers, are leaders. Even if they're like, no, I'm not a leader. You are. You are a leader. I'm here to tell you, you are a leader. And part of leadership, part of spiritual maturity is allowing for the surprises and releasing the control. So in this moment, there is a part of me that's like, oh my gosh, I should know what this meditation is going to be about. It's a very small part because I have a lot of experience with this now. Mostly I'm excited and I'm honored to create this space for all of us and see what gifts our soul wants to give us today. Because this is something that happens when we gather together. For those of you here live and those of you who will watch the replay, we co-create it together. It's no accident who showed up today and who's going to watch the replay. We're here together. So even though we each have our own individual soul, we also create an I am presence, an oversoul collective energy of what we each need exactly. And so let's go within. So I invite all of us to take a few cleansing breaths. And as you do that, tune into your beautiful heart. And let's slow it down a little bit. Let's tune into the earth first. So bring your awareness to your hips and your pelvis and your knees and your feet. And really feel that grounding energy. Thank you, Mother Earth, for supporting this ceremonial space, this healing space. And now, with that connection, bring your awareness to your heart center. And so maybe you bring the palms of your hands over your heart as I'm showing right now. Like if you find that your mind's like whirling and you're up here, it might help to bring your hands to your heart. You can also relax them, whatever feels right to you in the moment. And as we step into the temple of our heart, really take that in, the temple of your heart. There is a temple there where your beautiful heart resides. And so in that space, I invite you to envision a beautiful light, like a flame. And the flame I'm perceiving is this beautiful pink with golden flecks. And so this pink light with golden flecks radiates out, like projects out of your heart, this beautiful path. And in this moment, I see what I typically see, the golden path, but it's lined with rose petals, beautiful pink rose petals. And so you're standing on this path with these rose petals. And you're feeling, perhaps you can smell the roses, the scent. There is this feeling of holiness, of sacredness. And I invite you to realize that this is your holiness, your sacredness. This is coming from within you. And as you stand on this path with these petals, before you, you now see a beautiful altar. It's a simple altar. It's a sacred altar. And you know that this is, again, an altar that is within you, a holy shrine. And on this altar is a holy book. It's a book, it's just open, and all this light is radiating from it. And this is a book that your soul has created for you, for this moment. And as you walk close to this altar with this book that has its pages open, and right now you look at the book and you can't see any words, you can't see any images yet, you just see all of this light. And it's emanating this beautiful feeling of wisdom, of love, of holiness. And you understand that this is a book from your soul. So this is a very specific book of you. And this is the question that's coming forward that we're going to ask together. What lesson am I mastering right now? So right now we're in January, but whenever you're watching this, right, at this point in my life, in this month, in this next few months of this year, maybe it's weeks for some of you, but what is the lesson that I am mastering, that I'm in the process right now of mastering, the soul lesson? And as we ask that question, the book starts to, the pages start to like move and shuffle and shuffle and shuffle. And there's just like, it opens up to one page, and that page rips out of the book and floats down to your beautiful hands. And there you are holding this page. Now, if there's a part of you that's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get it wrong. I can't read it. Oh no, what if I don't see anything? Just send that part love, because you're going to get the message in your heart. Maybe you won't hear it in this moment. Maybe it'll be later when you're washing dishes or sweeping or run your car. So there's no pressure right now. You're just holding the page. Wow, here's the answer. And so you look at this page and perhaps you see a symbol. Perhaps you see a color. Perhaps you see words. Perhaps you just see light, and the light is coming into your heart, and you know that the answer will be revealed at exactly the right time. What is the lesson that you are mastering right now? This week, these next few weeks, what is the lesson? And so let's just listen in silence for a few moments. And so just receive that precious message in your heart and see that page dissolving into light, and that light just goes into your heart now. And again, no pressure. If you're like, I couldn't see anything, that's okay. It's going into your heart. And so that beautiful altar dissolves in light. You're standing there with the roses. The roses are helping to ground you. Feeling Mother Mary's love and reassurance, feeling Sarasvati, her delight, her, she just brings so much joy. And you step back into your heart, into your heart's temple, you back into your body, feeling the earth underneath you, back into this moment. As we bring the palms of our hands together and we bow to each other, everyone here live, everyone who will ever watch this replay, and we bow to our own beautiful heart. We close the ceremony with a namaste. Namaste, everyone. And if there's anything you want to write down in your journal, if you have it with you, write it down. And if you want to share in the chat, one of the things I heard for me is that I'm mastering the lesson that loving more is the safest thing for me. That's a real, it's like it stretches my heart in a way. And that might be surprising. It's not that I'm not a loving person. I am a loving person, but I've also had a lot of trauma in my life. So it's like pushing me past that next expansion. So thank you for witnessing that. Summer saying forgiveness and joy. Beautiful, Summer. Thank you for sharing that. I had no idea that's where we were going to go. Forgiveness is the way to joy. Oh, beautiful. Yes. Yeah. So if you're watching the replay and you want to share in the comments, please do that. We're sharing here, Macy, ease and trust. Ugh. That's beautiful, Macy. Yes. And speaking of spiritual maturity, like we can think that the spiritual journey has to be so much struggle and challenge and bleh, all of that stuff. And we're really birthing a new paradigm of ease. Isn't that interesting? So I'm going to, don't want to forget, next week on Wednesday, it is St. Bridget's Day. And so I'm going to have an amazing guest. Some of you have met her already, joining all the way from Dublin, my fellow priestess and soul sister, Zoe Daly. She's going to be my guest, and we're both going to be talking about Bridget. And it's going to be, the title Bridget gave me was Bridget's Flame Activates Our Priestess Gifts. Some of you know I had the great pleasure of traveling to Ireland last year. I'm still integrating the blessings of that journey. So next week, Priestess Transmission is going to be all about activating your priestess gifts with Bridget's help. And Zoe's going to be joining us from Ireland to bring her wisdom and her teachings with it. And so Jill's saying, learning next level of self-compassion and receiving. Oh, thank you, Jill, for that. Yes, it is always that next level. Really remember that. I think for some of us who've been on a conscious spiritual journey for a long time, it can kind of feel like, oh yeah, compassion. I know that's really important, right? But it's like, Jill, when she says the next level of self-compassion and receiving, like that's like a thing, like the next level. That means the next stretch, the next expansion, right? The next like growth, the next stepping out of our comfort zone. If we're really comfortable, we're not doing it right. I just have to say, like, if we're really comfortable, it means we're just kind of like in the comfort zone. Now, discomfort doesn't have to mean pain, though. So to be clear about that. Roxana saying equal ease and effort. Yes. Yes. Thank you for that, Roxana. There is a soulful effort that is required from all of us. Absolutely. And I'm going to be talking about that on Friday at the retreat. So I do want to invite all of you to sign up for my mailing list if you're not on it. That's the best way to connect with my teachings and the resources and the upcoming events. Also, if you're watching this and January 27th, 2023 has not passed yet, there is still time to enroll in this week's retreat. I'm just so delighted at all the women who've signed up. And it's going to be such a special time to retreat, go within, and really set the blueprint for your year. Like, it takes courage. I said that in today's blog. Like, it takes courage to invest time and money into something like that. Do not make any mistake. It does take courage to be like, yep, I'm going to invest this money. I'm going to invest this time. I'm going to be immersed in these teachings and do these ceremonies, because that's how committed I am to this. And it scares me, and it's a stretch, and that's okay. So the link will be below there if you want to join us. All right, so I'm just going to pull a card here, and then we will end. Oh, thank you, Diane, for that. She's saying, knowing our ascended masters are by our side. I know. Isn't that so amazing? Like, why would we not connect with the ascended masters? They're literally available 24/7, love you unconditionally, went through this human journey already, so they understand how painful it can seem. And they're like available all the time. So, yes, and my mentorship. Thank you so much. And in fact, I'm so glad you said that, Diane, because I am so excited about a new coaching journey that I am going to be offering starting in April. And yeah, it's a big up leveling for me. So if you're like, I want to coach with her more deeply, I'm ready for that. This is the time. Okay, priestess message for all of you amazing women, men, whatever gender you identify with or not identify with. You have a beautiful soul. So what's the message? And let's see specific. What's the question here? Okay, yeah, this is about your mastery. What are you mastering right now? So what's an added message for that? Let's see. 2 cards flew out. All right. Oh my gosh, I love these. I have never pulled these two. All right, this is from the Priestess of the Light by Sandra Ann Taylor. So I just want to make sure. And the first one with Sarasvati was this one. Okay, the Divine Feminine Oracle. All right, so this is what we got. Precognition, psychic ability, future vision. Look at this. So I feel like this is precognition for next week's Bridget call, where it's going to be all about activating your psychic gifts. Like, look, this is going to be one of the ones, is this psychic vision, future vision. Some people are scared of future vision. I used to be scared. My grandmother from my mom's side was very psychically gifted in this way, but it was like this secret, like nobody talked about it. And the gifts the psychic visions she saw were very tragic. So unconsciously, I kind of had this block on my third eye, like, I don't want to see the future. I don't want to get scared. So I really had to tune it into myself. So anyway, I'm sharing that in case that resonates. But okay, the next one, touching earth, planting something new. Look at how gorgeous these cards are. So this is great. The vision of your future, and you're planting it. I want to tell you, but this is already long, so maybe I won't tell you right now, but I'll tell you next week about my astrological chart this year. And not just because like it's about me, but how that affects how I'm leading you all, how I'm mentoring and coaching you. And the short story is it means huge transformation for this year. Thank you so much, everyone. I can't wait to see you next time, and sending you so much love. And look forward to on Instagram. I'm working on sharing short little clips from these on Instagram so that more people can find me here. All right, bye, everyone. Talk to you soon.